get up that early for nothing.
I know, and come all the way here, but it's
Yeah.
still sitting there.
I just say a prayer. Y'all have a blessed evening. Okay.
Well, thank you for trying.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I see a little bit of stuff going on actually. Okay.
Do we just sit down?
Yeah, they'll let us know. I didn't really. I was talking with Cindy on my phone earlier.
Okay.
So just. They'll let us know when they're ready. Good talk to us. And I did bring. Nothing. Maybe to talk to us about some things that they're. Listen to this fast. But this is.
I did, I do have notes.
Okay. And this is the bylaws with the
Okay.
amendments. And this is what Alessio wrote up.
Yeah, I've been looking over that.
Okay, so you have that, and I just thought even just for following along, like, with this, what we're working on here. So, this is, so, this actually is our bylaw, but it's a copy that has the proposed amendment, and they're, because one of our biggest issues was attendance, and that issue created a year. I think it was before Mel came on, where we really did not reach quorum in enough meetings to get anything done. We couldn't even start the interview process and application process because people weren't at the meetings to vote on the proceeding anything.
Right.
So we tightened that up a little bit. We haven't. Yeah, we haven't forcefully removed it or anything like that. And there's a lot of just cleaning up. Cindy tells me she has some places where she thinks that we should use the word will instead of should. You know, just to make it more covered. So I don't think any of these things are. I don't think they're going to say no.
Okay.
But even if they do, I looked over it again because I wanted to make sure there wasn't something that was really going to screw with us going forward, and I don't think there is. If they say we don't think we need it, say okay.
Okay, so we just don't argue.
I mean, you can. If you can certainly give your justification or Alessio's. I'm just saying. I don't think it's just going to result in us having to go back and rewriting again and coming back here. That's all. Okay, are you all right?
Yeah, I just think of my butt.
Yeah. Doing
I
right
saw
now.
that, I was like, I didn't believe it. Like, what?
I know.
There's so much stuff I still have to put away.
Mm-hmm.
So, the RV's one of them. This thing, I was like, make sure it's equal to that.
Hey, everybody. We're going to have you sit at this table over here.
The kids need me to sit there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on up.
Okay.
Come on up, everybody. Or it's, I'm sorry, until it's red. Just press it once, and then that little red light comes on.
Okay.
And then you're good.
Okay, thank
Good.
you.
Yep. And then.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Rules and Ordinances Committee. Myself is here, and along with committee members, Councilwoman Marks and Councilman Evans. And then we are joined by our youth council and their advisor, Amy, and their council liaison is Councilwoman Striebeck. So the first order of business we're going to do is approval of the minutes of the October 20th, 2025 meeting of the Rules and Ordinances Committee. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Move to accept.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so we have approved the Rules and Ordinances minutes from October 20th. So we're going to dig right into Resolution 2025-60, which is in regards to updating of the rules for the Youth Council. And since we have you all here, I am going to turn the floor over to you all. We do have an Exhibit A, and then we also have an additional document that was sent to us that explains everything. So I'm going to just turn everything over to you all and help talk us through what it is that you're trying to do with these updates.
Hello? Okay. So the primary purpose of these amendments was we realized that the bylaws didn't really match up with what we needed as a council as of current. Like, they needed to be updated with our current functionings of the council. So starting with Article 2, Section 4A, we thought the current wording was overly strict with the meetings. As high school students, we're all extremely busy and things can happen and get in the way, and you can miss 2 meetings. So we've decided we would like to amend it to have a review of a person's attendance if they've missed too many meetings unexcused through the executive meetings, and then that can happen. That will be how we decide if someone needs to step down from the council. Just because a lot of the people on our council are extremely busy people. They're very dedicated students, and they're dedicated to a lot of things. And we want to keep in mind their schedules. And we also want to say that this is council, it's top priority, but we do understand that family events happen, other school events happen, and we want to be understanding and slightly more flexible of that moving forward. And then Article 2, Section 6, this is just to help us more flexibility with inducting new members. We've noticed searching for and interviewing applicants can take a lot more time than I think was originally thought, just because we have to make the posters, put up the posters, and then give the applicants enough time to fill out. High school students, I said, they're very busy. Sometimes they don't fill out things. It takes them a while. And then from there, we have to choose and interview. It can be a way longer process. So the rewarding of that is just to kind of help us. It changes it from the first meeting of the year to the first regularly scheduled meeting after interviews have been conducted to kind of give us that flexibility if we need more time. We're probably going to try and get interviews done as soon as possible. I mean, as in this case, we did it quite speedily, but just in case something happens, we would like to have that flexibility. And then with Article 3, Section 1, this is, we just wanted to add in something in case the officer's seat becomes vacant in the middle of a council year. Just because there wasn't something previously added there. We haven't had an issue with an officer becoming vacant, but because we're still in the beginning years of this, we want to put something forth in case that does happen and to make sure, things don't go into chaos. And then Article 3, Section 2A, it calls for the meetings to be called at the top of the hour, but things usually don't happen at the top of the hour. Usually it's 6:03, 6:02. Because of traffic or just, we have to meet quorum, people come in a minute late. So we just wanted to reward that to make it more clear, it's when we meet quorum, when everyone's there, and we can call the meeting to order. Article 3, sections 2D and 2G are, they provide clarity for when all of our officers are absent, which will probably never happen, but in worst case scenario, we do want to have a plan set forth. And then Article 4, Section 4A. This was mostly due to the fact that we don't have sometimes we don't have our seats full all of the time. We try our best to keep a completely full council, but there have been times where people have stepped down, or right before, we get a new batch of like interviewees and people on the council. So we just wanted to clarify and say, it doesn't have to be specifically 8, it just has to be a simple majority of the current amount of members on the council, because there's not always going to be exactly 15, as much as we'd like it to be. And then Article 4, Section 4B, our vice chair wanted to clarify the grammar on that. I don't know what his nitpick was. Okay, that was just a grammar clarification. And then Article 4, Section 5. This current wording requires the Lakewood Community Relations Advisory Commission to advise the Lakewood Youth Council, which doesn't happen. We're currently being advised by Ms. Sydney Shrebage, so we just wanted to reword that as any city council member to kind of, word things as how they have been going. And then Article 5, Section 1E. The current bylaws give no method for dissolving standing committees, so there might be times where standing committees become no longer necessary, so we wanted to put forth a way to dissolve a standing committee if it is no longer necessary. And then Section 5, Section 2, Article 5, Section 2A. I think this was just a clarification. I think it says like full council. We just wanted to put that it's everyone that's there at the meeting, so the current quorum of the people that are meeting would be the unanimous vote instead of just everyone, all 15 members of the council. And then Article 5, Section 2C would be improved procedure for selection of special committees. We put selection of special committees mostly in the hands of the committee chair, because we feel that would be a more efficient way of doing that. If there are outside council members that want to be on the committee, that would then go to the chair of the entire council, but we like to put trust in our committee chairs because it helps things move along faster and more efficiently. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. So great job going through all of that. I think all of these make sense. I did have a question about your attendance. I mean, I can understand about being busy and busy lives and everything. So, and I definitely understand unexcused absences are just not good. And when students get out into I don't want to say real world, but they get out, they're done with high school. When you all are done, unexcused absences in the workplace or any other commitments are not tolerable. So it's a great lesson to know that, yes, you might be volunteering, but it's important that you inform someone if you're going to not be available. So is there like unlimited excused absences, or is that one of those things where it gets evaluated, where maybe it's a conversation that you have with that member that, hey, it's okay if you don't necessarily have the time to commit to this. So I don't know if you've thought about that or had those conversations.
That's very important to us in the interview process. When we're interviewing them, we ask them that they have enough time. And they also have to fill out an excused absence 2 weeks prior. So it's to get an excused absence, it takes a lot of, it's a process. It's something that we think through, and if they don't fill out that form in 2 weeks, don't give us sufficient notice, it is an unexcused absence, so you can only have 2 of those. So I would say we have gotten a lot stricter on our attendance policy. We do let members know in coming in, like, hey, this is serious, you do have to be here as much as possible. And that's kind of how we approach it. We haven't had a lot of issues with attendance recently, though. I feel like it's gotten a bit better.
Good. I don't have anything else. I do have some edits. I don't know if other committee members have any comments they would like to. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm impressed with how you've gone through the organization of your committee, and you've done a good job of coordinating things and looking at what could make your committee better, your council better. And it is a commitment that we certainly that we make on city council when we stand for a position. As your fellow students should understand that the commitment to attendance is very important in order for you to do the job that you're looking to do. So I think it's great that you clarify that in here, and that when you're interviewing them, the students understand what that commitment means. But I think you've done a good job of putting this together. Nice work.
Yeah, I want to applaud you guys for all the work you undertook to do this. This is a huge initiative. And this is important work that all of us do from time to time. It's really important. The work we do in governance is making sure we go through from time to time and take a look at the rules by which we operate and make sure they're working for us and working for our constituents, and that we're working efficiently and the best we can. So I applaud you for the initiative. Thank you for taking the time, and I'm certainly interested to hear what Councilperson Strebig thinks, as she's your works with a lot. But there's a lot of great stuff in here that makes a lot of sense. So just thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. I had a chance to sit down and really look at this today, and I wanted to make a couple comments and make a couple suggestions along the way here. So I'm gonna dive right into Article 1 with the purpose of the group, and I wanted to point out to you that you're meeting the topics regarding youth, health, and safety. I'm on line 3, at the end of line 3, with your mental health committee. I think you're covering that there. And then not the next one, but the one after that, community relations and community outreach. I think you have a committee for that as well. But in that middle one there, youth advocacy, might be a good committee to consider. And I'm not sure where that would go, but I think some of you are advocates for a number of different things in your lives, and that might be another good committee to consider there.
Okay.
I also thought establishing public and private partnerships between the council and local enterprises. Mel, I know that you've met with somebody that was working with the YMCA to talk about mental health there. So I think that, any kind of work that collaborates, like it says, collaborates with nonprofit organizations across the community. And I think you guys are kind of scratching the surface with that, but maybe that's another area where you could look at. Even the Healthy Lakewood Foundation might be a good person to invite into a meeting and have conversations there. And then in Article 2, there seems to be a little bit of margin error here, and number C needs to go over a little bit to the left. And then in section 2, it looks like A is hanging out there at the end of line 2. And then I think the A after the first paragraph maybe should be B, or even B could be half of A there. So I'm looking at A as the chair, vice chair, secretary, and vice secretary will conduct the in-person interviews and will decide on the final slate of candidates. That's one thing, I think. And then B could be the final slate of candidates is subject to approval by a quorum of the Lakewood Youth Council. See how those are two different things? I think that needs to be split. And then that A there would become a C. Okay? And then in section 3, again, just some indentation corrections there. And then number 4, I wanted to kind of really get into a conversation with you about the vacancies. Because the word should is a little concerning to me, especially when you're talking about asking people that you've done all this work with to now step down. And I think maybe you should consider the word will as opposed to should. So in section A where it says warnings should be presented, pick a number, like 2 warnings will be presented, or a warning. If you want to be a little more flexible, like I hear what you're saying, you're all very busy people and doing a million different things. I totally get it. But I think if you would just say will be presented before direct action is taken. And then in B, a review will be conducted by the executive committee. And again, at the discretion of is a little bit wishy-washy there. So maybe more of a, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you 2 warnings before we're going to take action, and then a review is going to be made by the executive committee, and then decisions will be made from there. Because I still think that the review in and of itself will allow you to either, okay, this is not acceptable, or, oh my gosh, something horrific happened to their family, or whatever that is, right? And we have to make an exception for this. And then in 2I and 3I there, I think that should be accumulated, past tense, accumulated a total of 2 unexcused absences. Any thoughts on any of that?
I think we would be amendable to all of that, changing it to will and then changing the accumulating and fixing the formats. Yeah, I think that should all be totally okay with us.
Okay, cool. And then I go down into section 5 and I see, or section 6 rather, in B or C, the last one, applicants will be inaugurated as promptly as possible. And I love the flexibility there. I think that that's absolutely appropriate for you to say that there. I don't think that needs to be, will be on this date or anything like that, because, again, you need some flexibility there. And then just a couple indentations in Article 3. And again, in Section 2, down there, the flexibility of starting the meeting. Roughly about a quarter after, we're going to start the meeting. I don't think it needs to be promptly at. I totally agree with that. The next 2 seem to be procedural. That's not a problem for me. In Section 4.4, under procedure, a simple majority of the total number of active members. I think that you may want to put in there in attendance for the meeting, as opposed to just the whole 15 of you. You want to say, because you're taking out the number 8, right? Because you want to say, we might not all be there, so we don't want to be tied down to the number 8. You may just want to say the number of people that are at the meeting are going to make this decision. So that's something to consider there. And then in B, I understand the idea to correct maybe the English there, but I think by doing that, you may be losing the essence of this idea that in this, because now it sounds a little bit bullying to me on this first one. The first priority in the works of the council shall be to strive for consensus. And I don't know that that's necessarily always what you want to say there, because you all have conversations. You're all, some are in agreement, some are in disagreement, and I don't think that you're trying to get everybody in agreement. You're having a conversation. And I like the way that it reads without the correction that although the first priority in the work of the council is to strive for consensus, sure, we all want to agree, but we may not. Votes of the council will be valid when authorized by an affirmative vote of the majority. So you're taking a vote and understanding that there may be some people that don't agree, but you're going to go with the majority. So I don't know that one needs to be changed. And then just some other corrections on the margins there. So I thought it was really good. Just a couple comments from me on that. Thank you.
I have just a couple minor edits. So if we go to Article 2, Section 6B, removing meeting than September, just say no later than Youth Council September meeting. So just a minor grammatical. And then the only other one is Article 4, Section 4C, role, it should be ROLE, just typo. So this role will be used in the above. You're welcome.
we should be good with all those changes. I do want to say Section 4A, it says a simple majority of the total number of active members serving on the council, because that's for quorum, that's for starting the meeting. If we're already in a meeting, it's the simple majority of whoever's in the meeting for a vote, just for some clarification. Thank you. But everything else that you said, we should be amendable to that. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may. Thank you. Thank you. And that in terms of the quorum being met by a majority of the members serving on the council mirrors what this council does to make quorum, so that makes sense to me.
Just to make sure that we can, as we edit, to make sure we can avoid this, in section 4A, you suggested that for I, we should change accumulates to accumulated. Should we do the same for number 2 as well? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
If I may. We had discussed before about process here with how to go through this. There were a number of small changes there, and I think more than, no big deal, but just a number of little things to change. And so I'm going to suggest that the process might be that if the youth council members be able to just do those in the document and send it to the clerk's office, then the clerks would be able to give that to us as a substitute that we can introduce on the floor, if that's so desired.
I'm okay with that, if youth council's okay with that.
You have a deadline for, oh, when do they need to send it to us? Or how anxious are you to get these? What, do you have a urgent, like? Well, yeah, what we had discussed prior to this meeting starting was if there were like 3 changes, we could move to amend them and then do it audibly and then substitute and then move to refer out of committee for adoption as that substitute version. But there were more than I could keep track of in my brain to be able to do that myself. No, I don't want to speak for everybody else. So it would make sense to get that on paper, I think. And then we could, but if you're anxious for it to be passed tonight, then we can try to figure that out. But if not, it can just come back to us and we can substitute it and refer it back to full council. Yeah, it would just be, you could actually even make a motion to amend with all those amendments and then refer it as amended. And then once we get that, we can then vote on it in full council. Does that process make sense?
Yes.
Okay. It's a suggestion. You're the chair.
Yeah. No, I'm okay with that. Other committee members, Councilwoman Marks, Councilperson Evans. Is that okay? Okay. So do we have a motion to accept those amendments? A motion, okay, motion to amend as discussed.
I'd like to make a motion to amend as discussed. And do you need a second, or did you make that motion?
I motioned.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so, all right, so that is going to, so yes, so please make those edits, and then we can refer this favorably back to full council for, we'll refer it favorably back to full council.
Do you need a motion to do that?
If you were to go ahead and motion to do that, then we can put this on the next docket with the substitute that we would receive.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to refer favorably back to full council with the amendments as discussed.
Second.
Okay, great. We're good. Meeting. Any, if there's no other further business, the meeting of the Rules and Ordinances Committee is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Great job. We'll start full council in 5 minutes.
Right? I know.
Tom, tell us he wasn't. All right, we'll call the November 3rd meeting of council to order. If you're able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll now pause for a moment of silence. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Baker.
Here.
Councilmember Bullock. Councilmember Evans. President Keppel.
Here.
Councilmember Marks.
Here.
Councilmember Hamilton Steiner.
Here.
Councilmember Streebig.
Here.
Reading and disposal of the minutes of the regular meeting of council held October 20th, 2025.
Move to approve without the necessity of a reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes.
Item 1, report from Finance Committee held October 27th, 2025.
Since the chair is not here, we'll defer this and come back to it in a moment without objection.
Item 2, report from Housing, Planning, and Development Committee held October 27th, 2025.
Vice President Baker.
Thank you, Madam President. On October 27, 2025, the Housing Planning and Development Committee met, had a couple agenda items. One was communication from Assistant Director Boss regarding the Lakewood zoning refresh. So to remind our colleagues, Lakewood has engaged with an outside consultant to evaluate our current zoning code and recommend ultimately a complete zoning refresh. So it is an iterative process, and part of these updates to council is to keep council engaged. Now 2 members of council are on the Zoning Planning Advisory Council, President Keppel and myself, but we want to make sure all of council and the public is aware of kind of the iterative steps that we're taking, because ultimately what it will become is a tranche of legislation to update and modernize our zoning code. So it just provides for a better process to update the public and our colleagues at the same time, so that when we finally do get those updated series of ordinances, that there are no surprises. The second thing we discussed was communication from Planning Director Byington regarding the authorization to sell property located at 1472 Bell Avenue. This is an ordinance that the city has been working, I believe, with some federal funds to rehabilitate this house, and then there are some restrictions on who the buyer can be related to income. So it's a low and an affordable housing unit. Planning committee, or the Housing Planning Development Committee discussed it. The planning director gave us an outline of it, and ultimately we recommended some small substitutes to the ordinance related to the notice would come within 45 days of the closing of the property. So council would then have a report back, knowing who it was sold to, what it was sold for, so that we could be kept in the loop. And then it was favorably recommended out of committee to full council, so it is later in the docket. And then the council president can decide whether or not we want to suspend the rules to pass it, because it's technically had 2 readings, but it's had enough time to have 3, so we can have the discussion later. And then lastly, there was a brief update on Ordinance 18-2025, which is to amend the weeds section of the codified ordinances related to front yard planting. So we did substitute the ordinance in committee, but we also referred it out to Keep Lakewood Beautiful to get their input, and we are waiting for their input, as well as some other folks. And we coordinated with the Housing and Building Department to make sure that we've committed by the end of the year to have that ordinance ready, so that the Housing and Building Department can properly plan and educate the public going into next growing season. We also may ask Keep Lakewood Beautiful to help us kind of educate folks on what the new rules are to incentivize and kind of help people understand what they can and can't do in their front yards. So that stayed in committee. That's the oral report. I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? Say thank you for that thorough report, and I certainly like the idea of engaging with Keep Lakewood Beautiful to help advise the public and expand on our ecological goals for the city. So, Councilman Evans.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm really encouraged by the direction of the zoning code update. I think it's going to be a really great thing for the city moving forward, and I applaud the effort of everybody who's put in so much time to that. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, the zoning is actually much more interesting and impactful than I think I ever realized before getting into the weeds of it, so I appreciate that as well. All right, we have a motion and a second to receive the oral report. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 3, substitute ordinance 28, 2025. An ordinance to take effect immediately authorizing and directing the Director of Planning and Development or Mayor to enter into an agreement with a licensed real estate broker to market for sale the real property located at 1472 Bell Avenue for a period of 180 days pursuant to Section 15507 of Codified Ordinances.
All right, and this is the one that it's been on long enough that it could have had 3 readings, but it just didn't get docketed for one of those. But it has been in committee, so it's been read, it's been publicly for 3 times. So, and the version that we have is as amended, as substituted in committee. Yeah, okay. All right, then I will move to suspend the rules in order to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call?
Vice President Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
President Keppel?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks? Councilmember Hamilton Steiner?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
And I'll move to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? I'll just add, part of the goal of getting this passed tonight is so that we can get a family into a house sooner rather than later. All right, any further discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none. Do we need to do a roll call again? Or no? Okay, okay. So hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes. Can we, well, we'll give Councilman Bullock a moment to get settled, and then we'll jump back.
Item 4, report from Rules and Ordinances Committee regarding meeting held today, November 3rd, 2025.
Councilmember Hamilton Steiner.
Oh, yes. So we met earlier this evening with the Youth Council to go over their updated rules that they've come up with, and we have moved to favorably, based on verbally substituted language, we have moved to favorably adopt the, it has been favorably referred back to regular council. Sorry.
Thank you, and I'll move to receive and file that oral report.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. So just to clarify, we referred it back, it was referred back favorably out of committee to full council, and then once we get that, those substituted amendments in writing, we'll put it back on the docket for an upcoming meeting. All right, any further discussion on the motion to receive and file the report? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 5, Resolution 2025-60, a resolution to take effect immediately approving the amended bylaws of the Lakewood Youth Council.
Move to defer.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 6, Resolution 2025-41, a resolution to take effect immediately, appointing 1 member to the Tree Advisory and Education Board for the 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2026, and ending December 31st, 2028.
I'm going to move to defer.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. I know, Councilmember Evans, you've been working on interviewing these folks. I'm thinking we can take some time in our next full council meeting for you to give us some information on that. Does that work for you? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes. Without objection, I'd like to jump back to item 1, the report from Finance Committee.
Item 1, report from Finance Committee held October 27th, 2025.
Thank you, Madam President. To folks here, apologies for being a little bit late tonight. The Finance Committee met on October 27. We began the discussion of the council budget priorities process, or I should say we took an additional step in what has been a year-long discussion amongst council members over several retreats. where we've identified a number of consensus items. We began the discussion with the administration. Director Mahoney was there leading the way, and as well as Director Vargo, about a process for beginning to identify what the budget may already include, what it may not include, and then therefore how City Council might work through those differences, identify what it wants to propose, and then at a future step, we'll sort out how we decide on what gets included and if there needs to be adjustments to the administration's proposed budget, how we fund those things. So we had some consensus around that. Council members agreed to a November 17, if my math is correct, 2 weeks from today is November 17, deadline for submitting our proposals using a form in similar form to a council budget priorities form that we previously used in past years. A 2 or 3 page write-up with the details, the justification, and the cost estimates, and use that as a stage. And I, as the finance chair, committed to clerking that, for lack of a better term. The administration, as an aside, I would like to say the administration is requesting that we get that earlier, if possible, as early as next Monday, the 10th. And I think that is a constructive deadline if we can all at all possibly meet that. Just earlier is better, and then that way, as much as possible, the ordinances introduced on the 17th would then incorporate whatever they can incorporate. So, so that was step one. I thought it was a helpful conversation. We also heard from the administration. We received a chart that's in the meeting minutes about what is in there, or in some cases, a description of past spending or past funding commitments from 2024, for example, as responsive to some of the items that we had identified. So more work remains, council members, amongst yourselves, and then in dialogue in partnership with the administration. That was one. The second item we talked about was the beginning, but not a complete discussion of the question of property taxes, how those work. There's an ongoing state government evaluation of property taxes. They're already part ways through potentially implementing a couple of different changes that may or may not help or affect Lakewood. The spirit of the conversation is for us to get informed, to understand how that works, how the city of Lakewood may want to position itself in dialogue with the state, but also the finance director gave us a helpful briefing about our tax collections, how they're structured, especially the property tax collections, and then our recent increased receipts given how our property taxes are structured. There was some dialogue on the committee about the importance of property taxes to our financial commitments. For example, we pay for roads and other infrastructure on a debt basis, on an ongoing basis, and those loans, for lack of a better term, are secured by the city's full faith and credit to be able to raise and pay property taxes. We have other income taxes too, but if we were to overnight lose that authority or ability to pay, then there would be a domino effect. That's a big deal. Some of that would go to the state. It's a big topic that requires some thoughtful consideration. The other part of the discussion was also, though, the reality that many Lakewood residents are increasingly speaking up that they're feeling the squeeze on their family budgets because of kind of a unique property valuation increase over the last 6 years. A lot of that's COVID. Some of that's predates COVID, and Lakewood in particular, I think, outpaces our peers in the Northeast. So it's a real pattern or effect, and we're beginning to study that. So thank you for your listening to my long oral report. I'd like to move to receive and file that report.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes. Bless you.
Item 6, communication from President Geppel regarding Legal Aid Society of Cleveland's Employee Awards.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, I'm writing to share news about 2 Lakewood residents who will be honored with an award by the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. Dorcas Russo, a Ward 1 resident, will receive the 2025 Community Impact Award, which recognizes an individual who has made a mark for outstanding participation or critical involvement that ensured success for a client, community, or project. Dorcas used her knowledge to serve the cities of Ashtabula County, or the clients of Ashtabula County at monthly clinics and other volunteer opportunities throughout Ashtabula, Lake, and Geauga counties. She is an expert in family law and helps advise families on how to secure safety and increase economic security. Joseph Tamino, a Ward 3 resident, will receive the 2025 Claude E. Clark Award, which recognizes a legal aid staff member for outstanding service through professional performance and commitment to legal aid and its clients. Joseph, a supervising attorney in the Right to Counsel team in the Housing Practice Group, was a leader in helping to secure a substantial settlement from the Cuyahoga County Metropolitan Housing Authority in a fair housing case that had been pending for years, and volunteers to do community outreach to ensure that those with limited incomes are aware of their rights and responsibilities in multitude of areas. These awards will be presented at Legal Aid's annual meeting on November 24th, 2025. Please join me in congratulating them both and passing the following resolutions that will be presented to them at the event. Move to receive and file that communication.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 8, Resolution 2025-62, a resolution to recognize Lakewood resident Dorcas Russo for receiving the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland's 2025 Community Impact Award for her significant contribution of pro bono legal services to legal aid's underserved population.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 9, Resolution 2025-63, a resolution to recognize Lakewood resident Joseph Tamino for receiving the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland's 2025 Claude E. Clark Award for outstanding service through professional performance and commitment to legal aid and its clients.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 10, communication from Councilmember Striebeck regarding ratification of Youth Council slate of nominees.
Councilmember Striebeck.
Thank you, President Keppel. Dear colleagues, I submit the following resolution on behalf of Lakewood Youth Council to ratify its fall 2025 slate of nominees. The fall 2025 slate of nominees is as follows: Archer Brandon, Danica Rose Herberger, Brad Kirschbaum, and Sean Miller. These impressive young people were selected by Youth Council as part of a robust internal process, including interviews and a vote of Youth Council. According to Youth Council's bylaws, a final vote for ratification by City Council is required to officially install these new members. Please join me in adopting the following resolution without delay so that the Youth Council may carry on its important work at full capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to receive and file that communication.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? Sure, we're all excited to have more youth involved. It's always exciting to see, and we got a chance to interact with some of the Youth Council members tonight. Always impressive folks, so we're excited to see new members come on. All right, any further discussion on the communication? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 11, Resolution 2025-61, a resolution to take effect immediately to ratify the fall 2025 slate of nominees put forward by Lakewood Youth Council.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 12, communication from Councilmembers Hamilton Steiner, Bullock, and Marks regarding resolution in support of citywide composting program.
Councilmember Hamilton Steiner.
Thank you, President Keppel. Dear colleagues, members of the administration, and Mayor George, the City of Lakewood has an opportunity to advance its climate action plan goals while delivering a high-impact environmental service to residents at minimal cost. There are neighboring communities which have successfully implemented a citywide composting program. We have been working closely in partnership and collaboration with members of Lakewood Composting Committee, a citizen-led grassroots organization, and communicating with the Planning Department for support of a program for Lakewood residents. A citywide composting program will support our adopted climate action plan goal of achieving 95% organic material trash diversion to composting by 2030 and reducing food waste generation by 50%. With existing infrastructure and operational programming already in place within the city, we feel that a citywide rollout would be successful, highly utilized, and encourage greater participation in such a program. The Lakewood Composting Committee has an ambitious goal of implementation before Earth Day 2026. And we agree that, while ambitious, it is certainly doable and laudable. The attached resolution lays out some of the details. Thank you for your time and attention, and we look forward to positive and productive conversation.
Thank you. I'm anticipating referring the following resolution to the Finance Committee, so it may make sense to also refer the communication. Does that make sense to you, council members? Okay. All right, so I will move to refer the communication to Finance Committee.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bullock.
or Madam President, I should say. Thank you for the referral, and thank you to Councilwoman Hamilton Steiner for taking the leadership in partnership with Councilwoman Marks. I'm happy to support it, and I see a number of citizen leaders in the audience. It's a good program, a good priority, and I support bringing some focus and giving ourselves a deadline to get moving on it. So I'm glad that this is before us, and I'm happy to support it. Thanks.
Thank you. I mean, we could also go to Public Works and Sustainability or Housing Planning and Development, but given that there's a budget priority attached, Finance Committee made sense to me. Okay. All right, so on the, any further discussion? Yes, Councilmember Marks.
Councilwoman Hamilton Steiner, for your efforts to make this possible. Something that I've been talking, and Councilman Bullock have been talking about it for a long time, and you brought it to fruition. So thank you for doing that. Great job. Appreciate you.
Any further discussion? I'll just add also that we also heard about this at one of our council community conversations. So it was an awesome opportunity for the public to come and for us to hear from them directly, and shows the value of having those public dialogue meetings. So I appreciate that. All right, so on the motion to refer to the communication to Finance, any further discussion? Vice President Baker.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I know, and I think it's based on some public comment. Shaker Heights, Cleveland Heights, and a couple of our peer communities have some sort of program. So it'd be interesting to see, is this something they handle in-house municipally, or do they go out to third parties? And so I like, that's what I'm interested in talking about and figuring out and getting the details of in the committee hearings.
Yeah.
Councilmember Hamilton Steiner.
President Koppel, could I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Councilman Baker, we actually had a really good meeting today with Director Byington and Sophia, one of the planning department members, and we've got a plan of action, and we've got basically some fact finding that we're going to be doing and working collaboratively on that. So certainly, if you think of anything even before that, just and we've got a timeline, and we're going to follow up with each other on that. So if you've got additional questions, just send them to me, and we can add that to the list.
Thank you. This may actually be a good time to take, we have some folks signed in for public comment on this. We can either do it now or on the resolution itself, but while we're paused in this dialogue, and since that question came up, might be a good time to do it now. So I'll invite you up to the microphone. It is on, so you don't have to push anything. When you come up, you'll have up to 5 minutes. I address the chair, that's me. Avoid personalities. You'll have, and the first one up is Harry Lader.
Good evening, Council President Keppel, and members of City Council. My name is Harry Lader, and I'm in Ward 2. I'm a Ward 2 resident speaking in support of the citywide composting resolution being introduced tonight. First, I want to thank Councilwoman Hamilton Steiner, Councilman Bullock, and Councilwoman Marks for co-sponsoring this important initiative. This resolution reflects strong community support. Our community has collected 75, count them, 75 documented signatures from residents across all 4 wards, demonstrating that Lakewood residents want this service. This resolution is based on proven success both regionally and locally. Shaker Heights, Beechwood, Cleveland Heights, and University Heights all offer free composting programs to their residents. But more importantly, composting already works right here in Lakewood. Dr. Christine Palumbo, Assistant Superintendent of Lakewood City Schools, has provided a formal endorsement based on the district's multi-year partnership with their composting service provider. Lakewood schools have already diverted more than 32,000 pounds of food waste from landfills while providing educational programming that aligns with our district's values. This resolution advances goals we've already adopted. Resolution 2023-15, established in our Climate Action Plan, specifically calls for municipal organics collection and sets a target of 95% organic material diversion by 2030. Tonight's resolution provides the authorization needed to make that goal a reality. This is fiscally responsible. Grant funding is available through the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District and existing sustainability budget resources that can be reallocated. We're not asking for new taxes. We're asking for a smart use of existing resources to deliver a valuable service that our neighboring communities already provide. Lakewood prides itself on being a leader. Tonight, you have the opportunity to catch up with our neighbors and deliver a free amenity that benefits individual households, reduces waste, and advances our environmental goals. I respectfully urge Council to support this resolution and move it forward to committee, which apparently it already has done. And thank you for your time and your service to the community.
Thank you. Next up is Catherine Zimnick. Oh, Bonnie, go ahead. Yeah, come on up, Bonnie. Bonnie Sykes.
Yes, my name is Bonnie Sykes. I'm Ward 2, and I'm a member of the Lakewood Composting Committee. And I'm glad you brought this up, that at the Ward 2 meeting, that's how Harry and I connected with this composting idea. So those are valuable meetings. But just every week, organic waste goes in the trash, and the methane from the organics in landfill greatly contributes to the global warming. And composting simply keeps organic waste outside the landfills, and it makes us feel good if we can just compost. Many Lakewood residents live in apartments and condos and are unable to compost, and even if backyard composting, meat and chicken waste is not allowed. So residents are frustrated and need some infrastructure to help with the composting process. And this resolution provides that very infrastructure across all 4 wards. Currently, residents pay a monthly fee to drop off food waste at Madison and Lakewood Parks, but that cost is a barrier. And so in order to increase participation, we want to eliminate the fee and expand the drop-off locations. So thank you for listening to what the residents want, and let's be the first community on the west side to offer free composting. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine, come on up.
Hi, I'm Catherine Zimnick from Ward 3 of the Lakewood Composting Committee. And I just want to thank the council very, very much. Harry has put a lot of work into this, and we're supporting him. And I'm so glad that you are supporting this as well. Bless all your hearts. Went around, and Harry already mentioned the fact that we got 75 signatures. If you need more, no problem. We'll get you more. Just tell us. It is amazing to me. I thought we had kind of cornered the market on everything we needed to know about this, but those 75 people gave me additional things that we need to think about as well. So it's been an education. I didn't think I'd get education out of this process, but I have. And hold on a second. I don't want to lose my nose. Hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't have time to print this out, so I apologize for that. We are here from the very beginning. Sarah, I don't know if you remember, I met you at the Ward 3 meeting. Bless your heart, you came and actually introduced yourself to me. And I said, we're the Lakewood Composting Committee, and we're here to do everything we can to move this forward. So just tell us what you need, and we'll do our best to deliver for you, okay? We said the same thing to Angelina. We're here, tell us what you need. We'll do whatever we can. So that's the kind of committee we are. You guys are very busy, and we respect and honor you all for all that you do. But we recognize that you've got a lot going there. So we're here to support you to move this forward. And please use us however you need to, because we will deliver for you. I'll guarantee you that. Okay? How am I doing? I got 3 minutes. Good. Oh, my time keeps on going off. Okay, so currently, this is just open for discussion. But currently, Lakewood has 3 parks that have the salt bins on it. So one of our initial thoughts is, you already got the salt bins there. Kaufman Cove, the Lakewood Dog Park. Would those be east? Because someone chose those as good things to use for the salt bins. We're thinking, can we leverage off that and add the free citywide composting bins there as well? Something for you to consider. And I just want to thank all of you for moving this forward. It's really been very dear to our heart. We put our heart and soul into this. So thank you, each and every one of you. Oh, here's our 75 signatures. Just so you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And I do appreciate, I do remember, and that was actually, so two of the council community conversations composting came out of it. So that's a valuable result. And I do also recall when I first started on council, it was after we had gone virtual because of COVID, and we had a presentation from the refuse and recycling department, as well as from, I think, Rust Belt Riders, talking about the percentage of refuse that is food waste, and removing that percentage, particularly when we have, of course, some of that's commercial with our bars and restaurants, but the amount of food waste, and that if that can go into composting, then you take it out of the cost of the refuse that has to be treated. So there's actually potentially financial benefit too, but it'll be interesting to have this discussion, and excited to try to move more composting forward. All right, so we are still on the motion to refer the communication to finance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye, and that motion passes.
Item 13, Resolution 2025-68, a resolution to take effect immediately, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and enter into a contract with a composting provider for a citywide composting program.
Move to refer to finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 14, communication from Mayor George and Councilmember Bullock regarding participation in NOPEC's Green Community Choice Program.
Mayor George?
Thank you. Good evening, members of council. For decades, the city of Lakewood has participated in Ohio's Community Choice Aggregation Program for utility energy service, created by state law to allow local governments to use joint buying power to negotiate lower prices and other benefits for consumers living in their communities. Throughout this time, Lakewood has participated as a member of the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, or NOPEC, selecting them to operate our aggregation program and provide Lakewood residents options for affordably priced electricity and natural gas service. NOPEC has customarily operated via supply contracts with 3-year terms, allowing a mix of stability and flexibility in pricing and program features, and allowing member communities the choice to make changes or adjustments in 3-year intervals. We are currently approaching the end of the 3-year term. As such, NOPEC requires the attached legislation be passed by Lakewood City Council to extend our participation in the NOPEC Electricity Aggregation Program and to renew its participation in the Green Community Choice Program. Please consider the attached resolution to affirm Lakewood's participation in NOPEC. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion, Councilmember Bullock?
Thanks, thanks, Madam President. Thank you, Mayor, for initiating this. communication and resolution and for inviting me to co-sponsor. I'm happy to do that. And council colleagues, I do strongly support this or refer it at least to your consideration. So we're coming up on the end of the first 3-year contract, and in the normal schedule, we do that. You kind of plan a year ahead, and then that gives time to NOPEC to negotiate supplies for the next 3-year contract. We've been in NOPEC since the year 2000. I think we're the first or the second statewide to do this, and actually Ohio is a leader in energy aggregation nationally, which is nice to do something correctly on this front. And so NOPEC in some ways is like a credit union for energy in communities. They're a nonprofit. They don't upcharge because they don't have a margin. They give a dividend back to our community. We've used that dividend for some years now to fund public-facing electric vehicle charges. We've also done nearly 3/4 of our streets for streetlights. I'm looking at the planning director because it's through her department that a lot of that's been coordinated. So that means we save energy and dollars, tax dollars, so it keeps getting reinvested. So NOPEC's been a good partner in all of this. We had some conversations about 5-6 years ago, and it took a while, but we finally got this Green Community Choice Program, which means the default offering is 100% clean power. And Lakewood was among the first. Cleveland Heights, I'm trying to recall the others, Sheffield Village, and a half dozen others in their territory were the early adopters. And so now we're coming around for the second contract, the second renewal. And the idea would be, NOPEC has up to 1 million customers. If a big slice of those default to do 100% clean, that right there moves the needle in a positive direction on climate emissions, on air quality, and a bunch of things. That isn't reality today, but we're helping to take the first step regionally. For our own residents, what we're doing is giving them an option. They don't have to choose it. There's an easy, no penalty way to switch your plan if you want to. But you default to 100% clean power that is less expensive than illuminating companies' default offer. And I've actually just called up the prices here, but we save money each year under the plan. And in the first year, there was significant savings. So if you think about that, some of us got involved in, clean energy. It's a focus or a priority for us. I did that in my house. It was a significant expense. It's paying itself off over time, but that was a family sacrifice, more than $10,000, and it pays itself off over like 8 years. This benefit requires none of that investment. It doesn't require you to repair your roof. It doesn't require you to get a contractor, figure out a loan, save your pennies. It frees up your money to do something else like other repairs or a car. So you get a turnkey solution to all of our residents, 100% clean power. You can take it for a month. You can take it for a year. You can opt out immediately if you have some reason you want to make a different choice. Whereas those of us who invest in these solar systems or even a generator, because we're experiencing power outages, you're tying up your cash and you're doing a physical change to your property, and not everybody can do that. So I really think this is a key offering to our community, and it's also a cost-effective way to implement our climate action plan. And we've got that climate action plan. We all supported it for good reasons. The administration did a lot of work on it. Residents like Bonnie Sykes have been champions of this for some years, and we now have an obligation, in my opinion, to try to implement that. And we just heard the same reasoning for the composting is another good initiative called out in that plan. So this is a really big step, and I'm excited about the fact that NOPEC is continuing to pursue this, and we'll talk with them, I think, to get pricing information, but there's every indication that it should be a good option for people with no hidden fees, no hidden exit penalties like a lot of these door-knocking contractors do. So you can tell I'm a little bit of an energy geek because I've talked too long. But thank you for the putting this on the agenda, and I think it's very worth our consideration.
Thank you. So if we want to send this to committee, I think the communication would be helpful. We also just got a pretty significant explanation, and we've been doing this in the past, so we could also adopt tonight. I'm interested in hearing colleagues' thoughts on Councilmember Strebig.
Thank you. I think this is a renewal for a program that we're already participating in, and I'm happy to support this tonight.
Other council members?
I agree. I'm happy to support this evening.
All right. So then I will move to receive and file the communication.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 15, Resolution 2025-67, a resolution approving the City of Lakewood's notice to the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC, to elect NOPEC's Green Community Choice Program for the city's electricity aggregation program starting June 2026.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? I'd just like to thank the Mayor and Councilman Bullock for bringing this forward and continuing this worthwhile program. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 16, report from Councilmember Strebig regarding October 15th meeting of Lakewood Animal Safety and Welfare Advisory Board.
Councilmember Strebig.
Thank you, President Keppel. Dear colleagues, I attended the LaSwab meeting on October 15, 2025. Animal Control Officer Crumley provided a report on the grand opening for the new animal shelter on October 23rd from 1:30 to 3 p.m. He provided an updated report of animals that have been attended to in the city compared to the numbers from last year by month. If you have a chance to take a look at that, it's quite interesting. The shelter is full of cats, and approximately 10 to 12 are available for adoption. And Davis Court is still a problem with the cat community that is still multiplying. LaSwab members, Juliana, reported that LaSwab is holding a pet food drive for the Lakewood Community Service Center on Saturday, November 15th from 10 to 2 p.m. in the Pocket Park in front of Mark's Plaza. The center has a need of 12,000 pounds of animal food per month, which kind of blew my mind, so that animals get the food that they need and people aren't sharing their food with their pets. Conversation was held about who else could help with this demand, and they're looking into other companies to help them with this. Dana Marie Pinella, lawyer and recognized TRN specialist, I'm sorry, that should be TNR specialist in Ohio, reviewed a draft of the TNR ordinance and made recommendations for language changes. The committee, Officer Crumley and I had a lengthy discussion with her about the recommendations and agreed to review the recommendations with the law department. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to receive and file that report.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 17, report from Councilmember Strebig regarding October 23rd meeting of Lakewood Youth Council.
Councilmember Strebig again.
Thank you, President Keppel. Dear colleagues, the Lakewood Youth Council met on Thursday, October 23rd, 2025 in the auditorium at Lakewood City Hall. The council welcomed 4 new members with Lakewood residents, and members and Lakewood residents to the group. The new members are students at Magnificat, St. Ed's, Hawkins School of Mastery, and Lakewood High School. The meeting began with personal and committee introductions. The committee chair for mental health did not have a report, nor did the chair for outreach and publicity. Old business regarding the timing of flashing traffic lights was discussed, and a request from the Director of Public Works, Mr. Gordon, to specify which intersections and what time were of concern was shared. Several members volunteered to work on getting this information together. Also, a communication in support of a circulator bus is now being drafted to give to City Council. The Community Festival suggestion box recommendations were shared with the new members and full council. Recommendations from the community included better sidewalks, more money for schools and athletics, a skate park for younger children, bringing back the circulator bus, more puppies, just straight out. Just straight up more puppies, just more puppies in life, I think. More dog parks, a place to hang out and meet others, and an in-ground trampoline area, scooter park, and a babysitting program. A conversation began about where teenagers hang out and which local restaurants allow them to stay when they can buy food there. Cove Community Center was discussed, but it closes at 4:30 p.m. A recommendation was made to move this topic to the Mental Health Committee and to find out more about what other cities are doing in finding success with teenage activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Move to receive and file that report.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? Councilwoman Hamilton Steiner?
Yes, thank you, President Keppel. Councilwoman Strubik, I would love to help you and work with the Youth Council, maybe come to a meeting if possible, and talk about that. I might have experience with youth development and youth planning and the issue around safe spaces, safe places for young people, and how do you develop them, how do you grow them, how do you programming and all of that. I think it is something that is important. And growing up in Lakewood, I remember that there weren't too many places to hang out that were where we were wanted to be. And I think one of the issues sometimes you'll see people talk online about, older children being on the playgrounds that's designed for younger children. And it's like, how can you get mad at them when there's really nothing specifically geared for them? So I do think it is something that we should start talking about, and even thinking about as we're looking at planning and how we're planning for Lakewood and being more youth-centered in our community.
Thank you. I'll echo that too and say that a number of us have had conversations at different times. It's something that's near and dear to my heart too, as a former youth librarian, and it was where a lot of the teens would hang out. It doesn't happen as much in our local library as it does in other communities, but there are other potential places. And I also want to just mention that the community health needs assessment calls out of school time engagement, and there is part of the community health action team with Assistant Director Boss and Kate Ingersoll from Healthy Lakewood Foundation. There is a subcommittee in our Human Services Department, subcommittee on out-of-school time enrichment that would be great to get the Youth Council. We should definitely have youth involved in that conversation, so I'd love to kind of connect the dots there. Would be great. All right, further discussion on the report? So just thank you, Councilmember Strubig, for these great reports. Helps keep us engaged with what's happening in all these committees, and we ask citizens to give their time. It's nice to be able to understand what's happening in those groups and be able to support them. Any further discussion on the motion to receive and file the report? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye, and that motion passes.
Item 18, communication from Fire Chief Fairbanks regarding fire engine purchase legislation.
Chief Fairbanks.
Good evening, President Keppel and members of City Council. The Lakewood Fire Department respectfully requests authorization to enter into a contract with the Sutphen Corporation for the construction of our next fire engine. This purchase is included in the 2028 Capital Improvement Plan. Of the three manufacturers who submitted quotes, Sutphen is the only one able to meet our required delivery timeline. Maintaining the scheduled 2028 delivery is critical, not only to ensure the operational readiness of our department, but also to uphold the integrity of the city's broader capital plan. Each department depends on a predictable schedule for its capital projects, and shifting this timeline would have a cascading effect across the organization. Additionally, I request that Council approve the purchase price not to exceed the amount budgeted in the capital plan. This will provide necessary flexibility to accommodate potential cost adjustments related to tariffs, material increases, or change orders within the dynamic fire apparatus market. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Move to receive and file that communication.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. We had a detailed presentation on this topic during the Public Safety Committee recently. Any further discussion on this communication? No? All right, on the motion to receive and file the communication, all those in favor? Aye, and that motion passes.
Item 19, Resolution 2025-64, a resolution to take effect immediately approving the ordering of certain vehicles in accordance with the requirements of Lakewood Codified Ordinance 11104 for delivery in 2028.
Given the substantial conversation that was previously had in public safety and that this is already included in the capital budget, I'm inclined to move to adopt, but I'm open to hearing from council colleagues. All right. Councilwoman Streben.
I couldn't agree more. I think that it's time to move forward with this.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, so I will move to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Madam President?
Councilman Bullock.
Could I, Fire Chief, can you remind us of the cost and the reason we're talking about 2028 today?
Sure. So the cost, the overall cost, we budgeted 1.5 million to be safe. And unfortunately, the sticker shock hit us. Most of our price, actually all the prices came in around 1.45 million. So a lot of what the sales folks are telling us is that there are going to be additional costs later on just due to tariffs or, like I said, material costs that come along, whether there's a change in the price of steel or there's a piece that is not being made readily by the traditional manufacturer. They have to go out and find a specific piece for that vehicle. So they've advised us to, don't go down to the penny, give yourself some cushion in case this happens. Otherwise, we have to start stripping things off of the vehicle, such as like a idle reduction technology or the type of materials that we're using, or even, some of the safety features like the cabin air filter, which filters out the carcinogens that off-gas from our equipment when we return from a fire. So rather than sacrificing those pieces of equipment on the vehicle, we requested to just at least stay at the budgeted amount and not a dollar more. This gives us some flexibility. Also, the 2028 timeline keeps with our capital plan of replacing frontline vehicles at 15 years. And then we keep that vehicle. So for example, this vehicle would come into service and operate as a frontline vehicle for 15 years, and then we would keep it as a ready reserve vehicle for 10 more with an overall lifespan of 25, which we are on track for that with all of our vehicles currently. So that is why we are sticking to the 2028 timeline.
Madam President, follow-up. So the type of truck or vehicle or engine it is what? And can you give us some context? So it's replacing something that's in its 15th year or 16th year or its 25th year?
So overall, the vehicle that would be replaced is one of our reserve vehicles. So it's meeting the end of its useful life. So that vehicle will essentially come off of our roster, and then the new vehicle would go to Station 2 on the city's west end, which is technically a rescue pumper truck. It pumps water, but it also has a lot more cabinetry on it to carry more specialized tools, such as the technical rescue component, the ice rescue, water rescue, things of that type. So this vehicle is required to have a lot more storage space than just a standard fire engine. So this newer vehicle will replace that vehicle at Station 2, and the vehicle at Station 2 currently will then become a ready reserve.
Okay. And is 1.5 million a good price, or is that spiked because of the fact you said, like if we bought this 5 years ago, what would the price have been?
It would probably have been about $500,000 cheaper.
Okay. And that price increase is not unique to Lakewood or this model of truck?
It is not unique. All three of these quotes, we tried to build three vehicles from three different manufacturers, tried to keep them apples to apples, same components, same style of compartments, same seating arrangements, same motor, same transmission. All of it, we wanted it to all be as similar as possible so we could get a very close comparison. And they all came within about, I'd say, $50,000 of each other.
Okay. So I mean, of course, I think for me, for sure, and I'm anticipating other council colleagues want to support the equipment, the safety, the capabilities at the maximum for police, fire, all our safety forces, public works too. The, the question would be, maybe we could, as part of the budget process that's coming up, understand if costs have gone up 50% for capital equipment, how are we going to factor that into our future planning? So our normal schedule for whatever it's been for the last 10 years looks a certain way, a certain number of pieces of equipment. You know, I appreciate your points about how we're making our equipment last and also serve a backup role that all is good stewardship of dollars. Does that need to shift and change further, you know, so we get this truck in place? 2028 is actually pretty near term when you're considering heavy equipment purchases, but what about 2029, 30, et cetera? Do we need to factor in the new normal if these prices have gone up? Typically, prices don't come back down that frequently.
Right, so we tried to anticipate, which is our last vehicle, which was a Quint apparatus, which it is a pumper truck with a aerial ladder on it. We purchased that vehicle in 2021. It was delivered in 2023. We purchased that vehicle for $1.1 million, and that vehicle today is $1.75 million. So this is like it's almost an industry crisis of the spiking in the prices of emergency vehicles. So, you know, part of my job is I need to anticipate these needs, which is why when we built the capital plan, I added, you know, I felt that I was putting a safe number in there, and I honestly felt that we weren't even going to get close. And then when the numbers started rolling in, it was like, oh boy, yeah, okay. So, you know, while I sit here and as I'm the fire chief in Lakewood, my job is to anticipate all of these things in the future, and we try to do the best we can, and we will just work within our means in the future. You know, if we're coming in over budget on these projects, then there's going to be some shifting of the designs of what we're going to be doing, just to make sure that we are being the good stewards of our taxpayers' dollars.
Okay, thanks for that thoughtful answer. And maybe if there's a time machine somewhere in Fire Station 1, you can go back in time and pre-order a bunch of trucks prior to the price markup. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I do think that the general thoughtful question about, as we look, you know, capital planning in terms of equipment and other capital planning of how we need to be thinking about that, not just with the fire department, but with other equipment, with other capital expenses, of how the current factors may play into that, I think is a good one for the budget discussion. But I will just also say too, in terms of, Chief, to your comment about, you know, budgets are budgets, but also we would not want to, I'll just speak for myself, I would not want anything coming off the truck that would increase the risk to the team. So particularly as we've worked hard to reduce cancer risk, you know, we're not expecting to save money on the backs of firefighters. So, or any other staff member.
Madam President, I just want to point out that
Yeah.
police cars don't cost that much.
Duly noted, Chief. Yes, thank you. Yeah, how many police cars could we get for that fire truck? Maybe come back with that answer.
Yeah, we might be able to replace the fleet.
All right. All right. So on that, we are on the resolution.
Chief's handling the hose on the next call.
Actually, you should invite him to the live burn training. All right. So we're still on the resolution. We have a motion to adopt. Any further discussion? I'll just also say we appreciate the chief and the fire department always having the equipment team do this investigation ahead and come to us very prepared, as always. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion to adopt. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 20, communication from Planning Director Byington regarding authorization of the Fourth Amendment to the lease between the City of Lakewood and Lakewood Child Care Center.
Am I going to Director Byington? Okay, Director Byington.
Thank you, President Keppel and members of City Council. The proposed resolution would authorize the City of Lakewood to enter into a Fourth Amendment with the Lakewood Child Care Center regarding their occupancy at 1450 Bell Avenue, the Community Health Center, The Child Care Center is currently located on the first floor and wishes to amend the lease agreement to allow for their long-term planning and investment in the facility. In summary, the lease amendment will allow for the right to extend the term for an additional 5-year periods with a maximum of 5 extensions, an escalating tenant improvement allowance, which would start at $15,000 in year 2027, and the ability to carry over their tenant improvement allowance to an amount that shall not exceed 5 times what the then current tenant improvement allowance is. We respectfully request this resolution be referred to the committee deemed appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Since Vice President Baker has is intending to recuse, I believe.
Yes, thank you, Council President. My wife is on the board for the Child Care Center, so I have lots of things to say about the organization, but I will keep them to myself, and I will recuse myself on the votes associated to this.
Thank you. And given that I will not, probably not refer to housing planning and development, so let's see, what would make sense? We could do,
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I've been working with some of the board members on this and with Director Byington. Thank you for your attention to this. I haven't checked in on it recently, so I'd welcome the update. I want to study and understand what's going on. I know that we were trying to also integrate or understand what the other tenants in the building were doing. And as a reminder to our colleagues, the city owns the building. And so we're not the day-to-day manager. We retain North Point Realty to do that, but we have a say in kind of the big picture of what's a good use of the building, what's important, what's good financial stewardship. And so kind of the argument in front of us is affordable health care, affordable daycare, high-quality daycare important to the city? I certainly say yes, and it's a centrally located option 2. So within that context, this specific potential lease amendment comes before us. So I do think it's worth a little bit of our time to focus on. I'd be happy to take it in Finance Committee. We're busy. We could kind of squeeze in, or we could hold it until, I don't know if there's a time sensitivity to this.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. What's the time?
So their current lease extension their lease agreement is not up for a while, but they are very anxious to move forward with this amendment because they want to start making plans for improvements, and they'd want to feel secure that they're going to be able to maintain this location for a long time.
Okay. Let's move to. That's okay. No, I'm just. It's like, yeah. It was just we have all the budget stuff, and I just don't want to get lost in budget. But.
Well, Madam Chair, I think we're planning to meet next Monday, right, the 10th, for one of the first budget items. We could include this potentially if it were to come to finance and have a timely consideration of this for 20 minutes. Probably would do it, I think, and then proceed to the other matters that we intend to have in finance next Monday. That's okay.
That is okay. We may also have be adding to the schedule on Monday. So. But so okay, well, I'll move to refer to finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion.
Abstain.
Oh, sorry. I'll remember to do it on the next one.
Item 21, Resolution 2025-65, a resolution to take effect immediately authorizing the mayor to enter into the 4th amended lease agreement with Lakewood Child Care Center for the lease of the real property located at 1450 Bell Avenue, first floor, also known as the Community Health Center.
Move to refer to finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Abstentions?
Abstain.
And that motion passes.
Item 22, communication from Planning Director Byington and Development Officer Wyman regarding fiscal year 26 HUD Annual Action Plan Resolution, and Lakewood Citizens Advisory Committee, fiscal year 26 federal funding allocation recommendations.
Director Byington.
Thank you, President Keppel and members of City Council. Lakewood Citizen Advisory Committee approved its fiscal year 26 CDBG and Emergency Solutions Grant allocation recommendations to City Council on September 10th, based on estimated 2026 CDBG and ESG awards of $1.75 million and $160,000 respectively. We respectively submit for your consideration the Department of Planning and Development's fiscal year 26 Annual Action Plan Resolution and the CAC's fiscal year 26 CDBG and ESG allocation recommendations. We request this resolution be referred to the committee deemed appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. We would be sending this to Finance. Would you like the communication? All right. I'll move to refer to Finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 23, Resolution 2025-66, a resolution to take effect immediately, authorizing and directing the mayor to submit the fiscal year 2026 one-year action plan of the 5-year consolidated plan, which includes dollar allocations and activities to be funded with federal CDBG ESG resources, any other entitlement funds received from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, all amendments thereto, all understandings and assurances contained therein, and incorporates the city's application to HUD for fiscal year 26 CDBG and ESG funds.
Move to refer to Finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 24, October 2025, Finance Department vendor report submitted pursuant to LCO 11103.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 25, Fika Cafe LLC, liquor permit 16203 Hilliard Road.
And we're in receipt of this report. It's in Ward 2, as is our custom. Councilmember Evans. So I'll move to file with no objection.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes.
Item 26, Citizens Eatery, 14600 Detroit Avenue.
We also received this one today. So I will, Councilmember Evans, also in your ward.
No objection.
All right, I'll move to file with no objection.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Thanks for those reports. Any, no worries. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes. All right, so we are at public comment period. Do we have anyone else signed in to speak? Come on up, Kim.
Good evening, everyone. You know I'm here. You know, it's about the Bunts Road thing. I just have a couple of comments tonight. Number one, I know this isn't question and answer, but I've been wondering, there were two items that that it was stated that were supposed to be changed, and one was the utility boxes that are near the corner of Detroit and Bunts, where the Get-Go is, that they're would be in the way of the path. They might be 6 feet from the curb in front of the Giant Eagle fence, and I understood that they were going to be turned on their side to give a little more space for the path. I'm wondering if that's going to be happening. And the other one I'm wondering about is the Giant Eagle parking lot. They have 2 driveways on Bunts, and it was stated that they were going to, there was going to be discussions with them to close one of those driveways to cut down on traffic and on people on the path having to, and for the cars having to watch out for people dodging them in and out of the driveway. So those are 2 things I'm wondering what the status is on those. The other thing that I wanted to comment on has to do with political will. I remember going to this planning meeting when the resurfacing of Edgewater Drive was up on the agenda, and their shared use path, which is in the street, you know, I mean, I'm sure you all are aware of that. It's in the street, but I remember a point of contention there was that they did not want to have the crosswalks that light up if you go and push the button. A lot of people, it seems down there, were very concerned about crosswalks and traffic, and they wanted four-way stop signs, which, you know, they were told that's not going to happen due to legalities. But they did not want those lights flashing in their neighborhood, so guess what? They didn't get those. Where I personally find this solution is quite workable, but in my mind the point is the political will in that neighborhood is a lot more potent than the political will in my neighborhood. And so, you know, there's no political will, and that came up twice in that meeting, one stated by the resident and one stated by a city official. There's no political will for sidewalks down there on Edgewater. So that's just a little unpleasant to really think that way, that those people rate more than we do. But, you know, that's the case. Okay, I'm going off on other topics. We're still thinking about what can you do for us to make this a little more livable for us. Is there any chance of traffic calming? I mean, we have more traffic than is believable. And, you know, I've lived there for like 40 years, 42, I think. The traffic was nothing compared. It was maybe a quarter of what it is now, because people will say, well, why did you buy a house on Bunce? Well, you know, it was a little different. And, you know, things are different now about selling a house in Lakewood. Our house is paid for. We sell our house. I'm afraid we're going to move out of Lakewood. We can't afford to buy something else here. And certainly the homes not on Bunce would cost a bit more, I would say, especially when this path goes in, and as the realtors think that our home values will decrease by 15%. So I would really like everyone to think about what can you do for us to make this more palatable? What can you do with this path, a 10-foot wide asphalt plan that really will change the character of our neighborhood? Can we have a better surface? How about those lovely permeable pavers that are in Lakewood Park in the new parking area? More trees. What if there were trees available to us to plant on our own yard so that we have a buffer before the path, like those trees down in Western Lakewood between the apartment building parking lots? I think I mentioned this last time, and the path that really gives a nicer view instead of a path. There's parking, trees, path, nicely landscaped buffer, and then the street. I said it's nice. You know, I have a few more things to ask about, and I see I'm running out of time. But I really think you need to help us out. You need to do something for us, like ban e-bikes. That would be one important thing. So I'll have more on this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And you're always welcome to send those ideas to us as well, so if you don't feel like coming to. So I know some of those we're working on with the legislation on e-bikes. I do believe that the plan calls for additional trees, more than what is currently there, but I do think the front yard tree, we do that giveaway with the Tree Education Advisory Board, but there may be some special work we could do to increase that for those who want them on their front yards. The Giant Eagle parking lot is a concern now sometimes, so I think that's worth looking into. I'm sure we can look at the plans and see what that plan is. And I believe the entirety of the plan is involving traffic calming as it narrows the overhead. So, and we have the permeable pavers are in the parking area. So a lot of these things have been incorporated into the plan, but always good to revisit and continue to try to improve. All right, we do have some e-comments. Those will be entered in the record. Kim was the only person signed in to speak. I don't see Barbara getting up. So, so we're on to announcements. Obviously, a big one. Tomorrow is Election Day. Polls open 6:30 a.m. and close at 7:30 p.m. For those of us who live in Ward 2C, if you live in Ward 2C, we are no longer voting at Lincoln. We are voting at the Women's Pavilion. So if you normally vote at Lincoln, vote at the Women's Pavilion. Other announcements from council members. Councilmember Strubig.
Thank you, President Keppel. I'm looking at my clear calendar to remind us of all the things that are coming up, including a full moon on the 5th, and also Veterans Day on the 11th before we meet again. And I'm hoping to see everyone at the celebration this year.
Thank you. Yeah, the Veterans Day event is always great. We will have committee meetings before then, but we won't have full council, so. And our appreciation to all the veterans. Other announcements from council? Councilmember Marks.
I just wish all my council colleagues who are running for re-election good luck and hope you bring in a victory.
Thank you. All right, other announcements from council members? Announcements from the administration? Hearing none, no further business to come before council. We are adjourned.